Alright, so now we are going to be talking about the OP-07 cards, all of them. So I usually do this before the set releases, but due to time I couldn't actually sit down and record my thoughts about all the cards in OP-07. But there's no perfect time then now. Anyway, I am going to not split this video into like 6 different parts, one for each color. I'm actually going to split them into 2 parts just because it's easier on me, and also like you guys don't have to click on every single video and I repeat the intro every single time. So in this video, we're going to talk about the red, green, and blue cards. In the next video, we're going to talk about the black, purple, and yellow ones. So let's start with the red cards. We already talked about the leader. We don't need to talk about the SPs. So gonna jump straight into Ayn. 7 cost, 6000 power, with an ability of on play, set the power of up to one of your opponent's characters to 0 this turn. This card is actually quite strong because it's an immediately, okay, like boom, your character is 0. Something like a round table, except you don't have to pay 4, you're paying 7, but you do have a 6000 body on the field, which is pretty decent. Now with OP-07, things will tend to change a little bit. It's there will be Bonnie decks that we will be running the 8 cost Eustace kit from OP-01 again. So this could be a good answer to that, just reducing that to 0. And then if you have enough attackers, you can attack into it. Or if you have removal, such as the Fire Fist or Fire Fist or different kind of fist, the 4000 Brick Fist, which when I looked at this is actually really quite good because you can buff your leader or character by 2000 and you can KO something that's 2000 power or less. If it's 0 with Ayn, then that's pretty good. Of course, this is I think this Fire Fist is much better because you have the option to give something minus 4000 as well. You don't necessarily need to combo it with Ayn. You can use it on standalone, so that's really good. So depending on how the meta game goes, this could be a sleeper hit for like the film cards. Red, purple, Uta potentially could use it. I feel like red, purple, Uta is kind of being checked by just the cards that can't be KO'd, like something like Borsalino, Chapapa, you know, the guy that says Chapapa. Yeah, those cards are hard to get rid of, but you know, right now there's Gecko Moria is running around. If you can reduce it to 0 and attack into it, make your opponent use the blockers, this could actually be pretty good. So I think there's a place for Ayn in the metagame, in red decks, depending on what they play. And yeah, we gotta bring removal back, man. Bring back the jet pistol. Let's go. Okay, now we got Outlook the third, Outlook 3. 2 cost 0 power with counter 1000. Part of the Goa Kingdom. Interesting. I think this character is familiar. Just can't really place it. If you know where it is, let me know in the comment section below. Activate main, you may trash this character, give up to 2 of your opponent characters minus 2000 power during this turn. I'm interested to see whether Red Purple Law will use this, because Red Purple Law probably he use like Gordon, uses the Raise Max, same effect. So this is kind of similar in a sense that you're trashing it, but you're giving 2 characters minus 2000. So you could potentially, you know, reduce something by 2000, use Law's ability to bottom deck it, and when you bring something out, probably like a Rush Zoro or something, you can attack into another rested character that's already minus 2000, which means your opponent's gonna have a harder time to defend against the attacks or like protect their characters. Interesting card. I think maybe. And Red Purple Law players, you gotta let me know, because I haven't tested with Red Purple Law enough, but I feel like it could be a 2-off, just like a flex slot. Moving on to Curly the Dan. The Dan is back. 2 cost 3000 power with counter 1000. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 character card with 2000 power or less and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this one, okay. Like I said in the opening video for OP-07, Curly the Dan might get hit by the bans. I mean, got hit for English, so you know they do see maybe it's a little bit of a threat. And the only reason why I say that it might get hit is because like if Sakazuki and Gecko Moria decks get hit, like Moria, some of the like Houndblaze, stuff like that, then red naturally gets a little bit stronger because all of the answers that checks a red, like Red Zoro, are gone, which means Curly the Dan is going to be good. So this is like a worse Dadan. because you do need to trash one card from your hand. But you know, it could be another way of you know, bringing this back for Zoro, but just checking it slightly because it uses up a resource from your hand. So that's what I think. Other than that, this is just an additional search. If Zoro could run 2, it would, because you just keep searching for a character card with 2000 power left. So you can't search Buggy, but you can search a lot of different things. It's not only limited to your 1-cost searches. There are a few other cards that could come into play. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of any, but there's definitely a few targets for Curly the Den. So pretty interesting card. Next, we got Karina, 3-cost 0 power with counter 1000. It's a blocker, and on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power during this turn. You can combo it, red, purple, Uta, give something more minus power, and then you can attack into it, use Shanks, use any sort of removal. So Karina, pretty decent card for film. Same thing, like red, purple, Uta is just kind of hard to get off the ground. It's a great leader. I feel like it's a great leader because it has inbuilt RAM, it has inbuilt minus power. It just does both things not super well, and it's kind of difficult to make it work in the current meta game. Once after the bannings, after the restrictions, maybe things might change. So we'll see how it goes. By the way, the alternate art, respectfully, ma'am, great. Anyway, we got the worst character in One Piece right here, Stelly. 1-cost 1000 power with counter 1000. On play, you may give one of your active leader minus 5000 power during this turn, draw 1 card, and trash 1 card from your hand. This card is straight trash. No, actually, this card could potentially be good in something like VV, where you're not attacking with your leader. You can draw 1, trash 1 on play. Nah, don't play this. It's trash. Let's move on to Dice. 4-cost 6000 power, counter 1000. It's a vanilla. Yeah, let's move on to Mr. Tanaka. Now this one is interesting because it's a functional reprint of the 3-cost 3000 power Kobe blocker from the Uta film promo, stuff like that. It's like, it hasn't seen a reprint, so this is just a functional reprint of it. It's a blocker with trigger to play this card. It hasn't, like, that Kobe hasn't been seen play. This could see, you know, if, like, now that people have access to it, could this be seeing play in something like a red purple Uta? Now we'll see. It's great that, you know, there are functional reprints of this card, so you don't have to shell out a crazy amount for like that Kobe. Next, we got Dogura and Magura, 2-cost 3000 power with counter 1000. On play, up to one of your red characters with cost of 1 gains double attack during this turn. I keep trying to see whether this card is good because Innate is like, oh shoot, my 1-cost potentially 7000 or 9000 power Nami can have double attack. Let's go. But you have to think of the hoops that you gotta jump through. So first of all, if you're facing against something like Sakazuki, against yellow, it's like no brainer, yeah, go for it. But against like something like Sakazuki or even like a Gecko Moria, your 1-cost, your 2-cost cards are gonna be naturally checked by all of the removal that they have. Something like a Hound Blaze, something like even like Gecko Moria bringing back the 4-cost like KO something that's 2-cost. Sorry, the name escapes me for now. But yeah, so like early game, your 1-cost searches, your 2-cost Curly the Den gets checked. So it gets removed very, very easily for that matter. Unless you attack with them, they can still attack into it with their own searches like a brand new or a Tashigi. There you go. And then in the later game, like, okay, let's say you do make it to the late game. You do have a, okay, let's say best case scenario, you have a Buggy, 1-cost 3000 power. You put up Dawn on Zoro, 1-cost 4000. You spam it with like a Magura, a Makino, so +3, +2, +2 again, let's say. So that's 4, 7, 7 plus 4, 11k. 11k Buggy. You play this Dogura and Magura, right? Buggy's gonna double attack. Your opponent has a Barcelona blocker. Your opponent has a Rebecca blocker. Your opponent has a bunch of blockers, Sabo maybe. And then you can't even get through for your double attack, especially in the later half of the game. So yeah, I don't think this card is good. It's probably a trap. But until we have more information about the restrictions, the bans, it could be like a secret weapon that you could slot in if people aren't expecting it. But other than that, yeah, I don't think it's they're playable, like in a sense that you gotta see whether the meta game calls for it. I don't know. Baccarat, 3-cost 4000 power with counter 1000, has blocker, and on your opponent's attack once per turn, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Up to one of your leader character gains +2000 power during this battle. pretty interesting. I think this card could potentially see like play in Uta, or yeah, in Uta primarily. Just because like you can get rid of some of the like Guild Tesauros in your hand that don't have counter in case you want to throw them away. To gain like a 2k counter off this, and you can still block with Baccarat that has like double utility duty. You can potentially attack with it as well. So yeah, decent card. Just kind of checked by the fact that Red Purple Uta isn't the best leader right now in the current meta game. For Blue Gem, 4 cost 5000 power with counter 1000. Don 1 when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 2000 power or less. I mean, these kind of effects, like Nico Robin had it back in OP-01. Yeah, I don't know, like not as prevalent right now in the current meta game when there's so many great removals, not on a body, like just cheap, efficient event cards. So, not that great. Porshemi, 2 cost 3000 power with counter 1000. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 1000 power during this turn. Yeah, just not good enough in the current meta game. I'm sorry. Yeah, so let's move on. Must Deuce, 1 cost 2000 power with counter 1000. On play, if your leader is Podgust the Ace. So shout out to Vampire Gaming who loves Ace. This card is for you. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Podgust the Ace or Red Event and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this card is really good. First of all, in like Mono Red Ace, that's great. You can search for any event. You can pair it with Buggy to search for events as well. But I think in the future, currently there is a yellow-blue Ace. But if there was a red-yellow Ace or a red-yellow character card that utilizes Whitebeard Pirates or events, and you could potentially play the 5 cost Rush Ace from ST13, I want to say, and then like the 10 cost Secret Rare Ace, then this would be really, really good in that. And I feel like it's going to come soon. Just not sure if it's going to be an Ace leader or something that's like, Marco the Phoenix could be like red and yellow. I don't know. I haven't seen what the colors might be. Potentially could be that. If not, then it's fine. It does well in like the mono red Ace deck. And speaking of which, we got Moda. 1 cost 0 power with counter 2000. And on your turn, on play, you can up to one of your Podgust the Ace gains plus 2k power during this turn. So it kind of acts like a Makino in a sense that you can use it to pump up something by 2k. So if you're going for like finisher, and there's no blockers on your opponent side of the field. Oh, excuse me. If your opponent has like no blockers on the side of the field and you have 0 life, you can potentially just like Moda into Moda into Moda into Moda. So for 4 Dawn, you are giving 8000 power to your Ace leader, and then you can throw events. For the red Ace, you can throw events and just swing in for like an insane amount of attack and then go for game. Yeah, I like this card. 2k counter, definitely really great. Speaking of which, it's Lulusia Kingdom. If you know, you know. Monkey D Dragon, 8 cost, 9000 power. With Rush and on play, give up to 2 of your Restodons to your leader or one of your characters. I haven't spoken about the Super Rest in detail just yet, but I'm going to take the time to do it now. This card is great. Oh man, like I think Dragon is kind of slept on as a leader in a sense that I think it could potentially tussle with the current leaders right now, because you can like kind of play the Dawn bounce around. You can like give 2 Dawns to one of your characters, attack with it, give another 2, and then boom, you drop down the 8 cost Rush Dragon, and then you can give another 2 Restodons. Then this time you can give it back to your leader. So you give it back to your Monkey D Dragon leader and attack. There's a lot of things you can do with red. And I hope that this is a deck that can kind of mainstay. Just a very aggressive red deck with Monkey D Dragon as your finisher. Even the 10 cost Luffy you can get from, I want to say SC10. Yeah, SC10. You can get busy and you can just like swing onto your opponents. Yeah, I really like Monkey D Dragon. Alternate art drawn by Akira Egawa. What a great card. Let's move on to the red events. We got Galaxy Wink. 1 cost red event. Main up to one of your Revolutionary Army type characters gains plus 2000 power during this turn. Then give up to one of your opponent characters minus 1000 power during this turn. Interesting. I mean, it's a 1 cost plus 2k, and then you get to give something minus 1k. It's almost like a 1 cost plus 3k in like a little bit. but it's a main. It's not a counter. Now I'm reading it, it's main. It's not a counter. Okay. You could use it to potentially pump up your Revo army, like, you know, giving something like a Karasu plus 2k, and then like reducing the leader's power by 1000, and then giving another character minus 1000. That could potentially be something there. Just how impactful will this card be? Not sure. Really not sure. I think you gotta test it out. I don't think this is as good because you could just put Dawn's Dragon does the Dawn thing even better, but there's potential. There's potential in that. This one I really like. Dragon Breath. 2 cost event card with main KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3000 power or less, and up to one of your opponent's stages with a cost of 0 or less. So it's a natural check to certain Sakazuki lists that runs the 1 cost Marine Fort. Now it's not as common. Reiju decks that run the 1 cost Germa Kingdom. This is a great card for red to potentially just KO that. And then Reiju's just not going to have the draw power to kind of find their combo pieces. Also, with all the power reducing cards in red, we talked about Ain before. You can reduce something to 0 and then KO it with Dragon Breath. This card is great. I love it. Playable for sure. Next up, we got Keep Out. 1 cost event card that's counter. Up to one of your Revolutionary Army type characters gain plus 2000 power until end of your turn. Yeah, pretty decent. It's a 1 cost plus 2k. Don't really see a lot of these being played, so it's just borderline okay. Moving on to the green decks. We already talked about the leaders, but man, this Bonnie, man, need it. I actually have bought it, so I'm just waiting for it to be on the way. So wait for the Bonnie. Wait for Bonnie. Starting with Aladdin or Aladdin. I think it's Aladdin, spelled differently in the manga. 5 cost 6000 power with blocker, and on KO, if your leader has the Fishman type, play up to one of your Fishman or Merfolk type character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. There's a few. If I go and kind of search like Fishman, let's take a look. I'm doing this live, so you guys get to see it too. Okay, so has to be Fishman. Okay. There's a few, right? Right, why is it showing me OP-01? Okay, so there are a few like 3 cost Fishman type. I mean, we have Zio, we have Daruma, which I thought was gonna be like okay, and then Dosan, but you could combo it with Vanderdecken. Is he a Fishman? He is a Fishman. There could be something there, but yeah, I'm just there. Maybe the Fishman players will let me know if Aladdin is good or not. Right now, I think there are stuff that you could make work, but is it worth the effort? I don't know. Next is my man Urog. 4 cost, 5000 power, counter 1000, has blocker, and at the end of your turn, set up to one of your Dawn cards as active. I've actually tested with some of the green cards in OP-07 in Bonnie. I'm gonna make a Bonnie video after this. It's good. I like this card. I think it's a decent card to play on your 4 Dawn turn, or even later on your 6 Dawn turn, because it's just a very Dawn resourceful. You use 4 and then you can use the other 2 on something else. Potentially, like imagine your 6 Dawn turn, you play Urok, and then you have 2 Dawns left. You play a Bonnie Searcher, and then you search, and then you like kind of keep your plays going. At the end of your turn, you can leave one. You can set up to one of your Dawns as active to use for Bonnie's leader ability. Urok is slept on. I really like Urok. I'm a firm believer that this is going to work, unless there's going to be more Amarus, there's going to be a lot of removal, which the metagame already has anyway, so I still want to play Urok. I like this card. Alright, we got Otama. So 1 cost 0 power with 2k counter. So on play, look at the 5 cards on top of your deck, reveal up to 1 green Land of Wano type card other than Otama and add it to your hand, and place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This searches for green Land of Wano type cards only. Only green. Why the specific? Why so specific? It could have just said 1 Land of Wano and it could have been like a Buena Fiesta, and this card would have been great in green, yellow Yamato. Why specify green? I know it's meant for like Odin, like red, green Odin. You search for the green like Wano stuff, and even I mean kind of like a pairing with Momonosuke, but Momonosuke can search other colors as well. If this green thing has been dropped, you have been a really good 2k counter. Now it's a decent 2k counter. You can still use it in like Odin, you can still use it in red, green Odin, Kinemon, whatever. But yeah, could have been way better. But the alternate art's pretty cute though. Not gonna lie, that's pretty cute. Next we got Caribou. 4 cost, 5,000 power with counter 1,000. If you have 6 or more vested dawns, this card gains 1,000 power and has blocker. Okay, pretty interesting. I mean, potentially a 4 cost, 6,000 power blocker. Not as good as a rogue, in my opinion. But yeah, pretty decent card. Supernova, so you can potentially search for it. Next we got Koala, so cute. 3 cost, 0 power with counter 1000. On your opponent's attack, you may rest this character. Up to one of your fishman type characters with a cost of 5 or less gains blocker during this turn. Okay. Yeah, so once again, conditional blockers, I'm not a huge fan, so I do not think this card is good at all. But Sao Supremacy, the card, very, very cute. That card is 10 out of 10, effect, not so good. Moving on to Caribou. 3 cost, 3,000 power with an on-play, play up to 1 Caribou. Caribou with a cost of 4 less from your hand rested. So yeah, you play this guy, you can play Caribou. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, don't think it's that good at all. But speaking of good cards, here we go. Jewelry Bonnie, 5 cost, 6,000 power, counter 1,000. And on play, up to one of your opponent's rested characters or Dawn cards will not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is good. This is such a great super rare, deserving of super rare, because you can lock down a bunch of stuff with Bonnie. So like Bonnie's ability, when your opponent attacks, like the leader ability, you pay 1, you can rest another character. Then you can play this Bonnie to kind of lock it down until the next turn. So your opponent's always trying to like get a footing, trying to get characters on the field, and you can keep locking them down, multiple Bonnies using the Bonnie leader ability. And not only that, it's good against yellow because, as people said, before their 10 Dawn Big Mom turn, which probably green has a tougher time dealing with like 10 cost Mom, you can just Bonnie the Dawn, so that when they are at 10 Dawn, they can only use 9. And as a yellow player, that hurts me physically, but it's so good when you do it against your opponent. Then you're like, oh, where's your 10 cost Mom? You can't use it because you have 9 Dawn. Anyway, great card. Alternate art is pretty sick as well. And now let's move on to Jinbei. 4 cost, 6,000 power, counter 1,000. It's a vanilla, very nice. And let's move on. Small point, I like that all of the like fishman cards in this kind of style has koala. Just a great card. Apu, 6 cost, 8,000 vanilla with counter 1,000. All right, let's move on. To Basil Hawkins, 6 cost, 7,000 power with if your leader has the Supernova's type, this character gains blocker, which you're using in Bonnie, it has blocker. And then once per turn, if this character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, so not battle, but by effect, you may rest one of your opponent's characters instead. This is the anti-Sakazuki card, man. If you want to Hound Blaze it, you can instead rest one of your opponent's characters. So your opponent has to kind of be resourceful in a sense of like maybe they attack with all your characters first, then you can't use Basil Hawkins' ability, or they attack into Basil Hawkins instead if it's rested on your side of the field. But either way, it's a sticky threat to get rid of, and hard to remove threats are like the great thing about like this current meta game is like it just sticks on the field, pressuring your opponent. So that's great. I really like Basil Hawkins as a card, as an inclusion in the new Bonnie deck. I really like this card. And the alternate art, kind of thematic, on point, love it. Let's move on to Papag. 2 cost, 0 power, counter 2,000. If you have a Kemi character, this character gains blocker. Aside from the 2k counter, which could be useful, I mean, yeah, the conditional blockers are not good. So if there's a Fishman deck and Kemi is the searcher, that's okay. Alright, next we got Bartolomeo. 3 cost, 4,000 power, counter 1,000, has blocker. And on your turn, once per turn, if a character is rested by your effect, draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. So I did not read this effect before I made my Bonnie deck, but this is pretty cool. You can potentially draw 1 and trash 1. You can cycle through your deck a little bit more. If you can, like you use Bonnie's effect to rest, yeah. Potentially, you could use this as a flex slot to kind of cycle through your deck a little bit more. I like it. I like Bartholomew. Next, we got Fisher Tiger, 5 cost 6,000 power, counter 1,000. This character can attack characters on the turn in which it is played. I assume it's not active characters, but yeah, rested characters, drop this down, you can straight away attack into it. And on play, if your leader has the Fishman or Merfolk type, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. So speaking of which, it could be in a Hody Jones type deck, could be an Arlong type deck. Yeah, I mean, it's a great, decent 5 cost 6,000 power, so stat line is kind of pretty decent. And yeah, I think this is an okay card. Like, it's a pretty, like, if you are playing Arlong, if you are playing Hody Jones, this card slots right in, but not a lot of people are playing those leaders. We got Monkey D. Luffy, 5 cost 6,000 power, counter 1,000. If you have 3 or more characters, your characters with a cost of 3 or less other than Monkey D. Luffy cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects. So people have been testing this with like Red Green Law, potentially another threat, another 5 cost 6,000 power threat that your opponent has to deal with, and it's difficult to get rid of by effects. You have to attack into this Luffy, and at the same time you have blockers to kind of protect it. You got Dawns in your hand, so yeah, I could see people trying this out. If not, like, it's a solid green card to use for Bonnie. I don't know, maybe because you have your small searchers, you got your blockers, and then you got Monkey D. Luffy. It's worth to test. Yeah, it's worth to test for sure. Next, we got Zoro. 1 cost 2,000 power with counter 1,000. If you have 3 or more characters, this character gains plus 2,000 power during this turn when attacking, so not that great. Yeah, I don't see this being played at all. So moving on to Karmic Punishment. 1 cost event card, counter up to one of your leader character gains plus 2,000 power during this battle. Then if you have 3 or more characters, this card gains an additional plus 1,000 power during this battle. Trigger ability is KO one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 4 or less. Decent. I mean, a 1 cost plus 3k. Conditional on the 3k because you need to have 3 or more characters. Yeah, I could see people trying or testing this out as maybe a couple of copies because your opponent probably wouldn't expect it. Yeah, I could see. And the trigger is pretty good as well. Yeah, I like the trigger ability. Then we got, what the title, man? Demonic Aura, 9 Sword, Style, Asura, Demon 9 Flash. Could that title be any shorter? 2 costs. Main, up to one of your leader or character gains plus 3,000 power during this turn. Then you may rest one of your characters with a cost of 3 or more. If you do, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So it's a main to give something 3,000 power. So that's pretty good. It's like almost Amaru level. It is technically. Then you need to rest something on your side to rest something on your opponent's side. So this actually can target something like Sabo, like a 5 cost 6,000 power blocker Sabo. And as long as you rest something on your side of the field, maybe a searcher that you're not gonna use. Oh wait, 3 or more. Oh, 3 or more. It's kind of tough though. Yeah, potentially you could use this as a finisher. That's what I'm gonna say, because you can potentially rest blockers, combining it with green. Green has a lot of stuff that you can rest stuff. And then trigger ability is rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Yeah, pretty decent, I guess. It's not Amaru level. It's not Houndblaze level, but it's trying to be. Hang in there, Demonic Aura, 9 Sword, Style, Asura, Demon 9 Flash. You can do better. I feel like you can do better. Next, we got more pizza. It's a 1 cost event searcher for supernovas. And the trigger ability is draw 1 card. The interesting is trigger ability is not search. It's not used main play this card's effect. It's actually just search, draw 1 card. Interesting. Don't know why they changed it, because like 2 years at Saobody let you play your main effect. I don't know. But yeah, we have Bonnie Searcher. This is just an extra. If you need it, you can use it. But we have a Bonnie Searcher already. And now we're moving on to the blue cards. We're just slightly passing over 30 minutes right now, but it's okay. Man, the leader. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the blue cards in OP-07, starting with Edward Weevil, 4 cost 5,000 power with counter 1,000. Don 1 when attacking. Look at 3 cards on the top of your deck and place them at the top or bottom of the deck in any order. So this is pretty good. in Doflamingo. Doflamingo is the biggest winner of blue in general for this set. OP-01 Doflamingo. If you're a fan of Doflamingo, you're gonna love these cards. This lets you rearrange, so you can attack with Edward Revel first, rearrange the top of your deck, then attack with your Dofi leader to play more Supernova. 7 Warlords of the Sea stuff, Shichibukai stuff. So yeah, definitely playable. This in a combination with the 4-cost 6,000 draw 1 card from EB01. Yeah, it's pretty good. Crocodile, it's a 4-cost 5,000 2k counter, and on play you may pay 1, return 1 up to 1 character with a cost of 2 or less to its owner's hand. So there is some utility. For 5 Dawn you can bounce like a 2-cost blocker. There's a few of them out there, and if not, it's a 2k counter for Crocodile, for Doflamingo, and you can still play it out because it's evenly statted 4-cost 5,000 power. This card's great. Yeah. Next, we got Gloriosa, Grand Magnon. 1 cost, 0 power, counter 1000. It's a searcher for Amazon Lily or Kuja pirates other than Gloriosa. So makes me think that there could be a Boa Kuja pirates type archetype. Maybe not in this set. There are a few cards from OP-07, but more support maybe in a future set. So that's pretty good. Great searcher. Alright, Gecko Moria, 5 cost. 6,000 power with once per turn. If your leader has 7 Warlords of the Sea and this character will be removed from field by your opponent's effect, you may place one of your characters other than Gecko Moria at the bottom of the owner's deck instead. So you can potentially just protect Gecko Moria by sacrificing another character other than Gecko Moria. Yeah, it's pretty decent, I would say. I think it's okay. Not the greatest. I think it doesn't belong in Dofi. I think it belongs more in like Boa. Yeah, the older Gecko Moria is, I think, more worth it. Next, we got Salome. 1 cost 2,000 power, you counter 1,000. And on your turn, on play, up to one of your Boa Hancock cards gain plus 2k power during this turn. So potentially, you know, this combined with one of the event cards we're going to talk about later could be like a all-in. You just have your Boa leader, play 4 Salome, give 8,000 power for 4 Dawns. Someone trying to make it work. This could be a sleeper like tech piece. Next, we got Draco Mihawk, 8 cost and 10,000 power with ability of on-play, draw 1 card. I like this card. It's just simplistic. You know, you drop down your big Mihawk and draw 1 card. Is it better than the other Mihawk? No. But it's decent, I guess. Potential card for people to use. Jinbei. This is the best card for Dofi, hands down. 4 cost, 5,000 power, super rare, plus counter 1,000. On play up to 1 7 Warlords type of the sea type character card with a cost of 4 or less other than Jinbei from your hand. Yeah. I mean, this, okay, let's say turn 2, you put Dawns onto your Dofi leader, OP-01 Dofi leader, attack, use the ability, and then it's Jinbei. Jinbei, you can play it rested. Jinbei's ability activate. You can play a 4 cost other than Jinbei. You play another 4 cost Shichibukai. Then there we go. You got 2 4 cost plus 5,000 power or 4 cost 6,000 power characters on the side of the field. You can Jinbei and then play the Edward Revel and then draw 1 card. It's so good, dude. Jinbei makes it work. And you can kind of bot swarm against something like a Sakazuki where you can, they may not have that much removal. They always do, but you know, sometimes they don't. And then you can kind of spam the board with your Shichibukai stuff. Jinbei is such a great card. Alternate art goes quite hard as well. But yeah. Next we got Sengoku. This is a 1 cost 2,000 power with counter 1,000. It's a searcher for Shichibukai. Now it makes Doflamingo more of a, you know, more streamlined deck because you don't necessarily need to rely on like Perona to kind of smooth out your draws. You can actually search for the card that you want, and then you can Perona into a Dofi attack. You know, you can have the combination of 2. Maybe it saves Sengoku for the late game to fill up your hand a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty good. And you can have the alternate art as well. Next, we got Trafalgar Law, also another great card for Doflamingo. 4 cost, 4,000 power, counter 2,000. You may return this character to the owner's hand. Return Law to the owner's hand. Then if your opponent has 6 or more cards in your hand, your opponent places 1 card from the hand at the bottom of your deck. So you can have 4 of these. You can play it out with Jinbei, you can play it out with Dofi's ability, and then use the ability to bounce it back to your hand so you have a 2k counter. You can attack with it You can put 1 Dawn on law, attack with it, return it back to your hand, protecting it, and then you can cause your opponent to like reduce the number of cards they have in their hand. So yeah, I like this law a lot. And there you go. I got the alternate art the other day. That's pretty good. Next we got Dofi, Don Quixote Doflamingo. 3 cost 4,000 power. With activate main once per turn, you may pay 2 Dawn, reveal 1 card from the top of your deck. If that card is a 7 Warlords of the Sea, with a cost of 4 or less, you may play that card rested. And place the rest at the bottom of your deck, even though you are only revealing 1. Okay, but yeah, there you go. So I guess if it's not a 7 Warlords, then you place it at the bottom of the deck. Okay, I see now. It's a win more card. In my opinion, this is a win more card. You already have your leader ability. You don't necessarily need this unless you're really trying to swarm the board, because you can attack with it. You can attack with your Dofi leader, get a Jinbei, get a Edward Weevil, draw a card, and maybe you have this on the field. You pay 2, you get another card. Then you can really swarm the board. So yeah, I mean it's pretty decent, but I feel like it's a win more. That's my take. I want to see Dofi players explain this card to me. Like, is this necessary? Because you could potentially, like, it's kind of Dawn efficient in that way, where you can have 2 4-cost 5,000 characters with just a couple of Dawns, but you do need this guy on the field, and you need your leader to be attacking. So I don't know. I don't like this card as much as the rest of the Shichibukai cards, but someone prove me wrong. Now, hopefully this card does see some play. Next we got Buckin. Okay, it's 2C, but 2 cost 0 power. On play up to 1 Edward Weevil with a cost of 4 or less from your hand rested. Type is Weevil's mother. This one is very important. Yeah, it's not that good. This card's not that good. You can just play Weevil on its own, or you can use it to Dofi ability. You don't need Buckin. So moving on to Boa Sandersonia. 3 cost 3,000 power with counter 2,000. On play, if you have 2 or more Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates type characters on your field, return 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. So utility wise, it's a 2k counter, and you can potentially bounce something, and you can proc Boa's ability with this card's effect. It's pretty good, pretty great. Ooh, there we go. The super rare Boa Hancock. So 6 cost 8,000 power. First of all, great stats coming. I mean, like, this could easily be a 6 cost 7,000 and still be playable. The fact that 6 cost 8,000, come on, man. And on play, up to 1 of your opponent's characters other than Monkey D. Luffy cannot attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then place up to 1 character with a cost of 1 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. So let's talk about it in a strictly Boa Hancock sense. It's a great way to kind of lock your opponent, kind of just make sure that you cannot attack. Even if it doesn't have to be vested, it has to be like active characters can be, the effect can be used on active characters as well. So that's really good. You can bottom deck 1 of the Tashigi searchers. You can bottom deck a searcher essentially, or you can bottom deck your own stuff if you want. That could be fine. This will greatly shine, not in Boa unfortunately, but in Sakazuki once again, because you can reduce costs of cards in Sakazuki because Sakazuki has access to black, Ice Age, Great Eruption, like, I don't know, there's so many at this point. And you can reduce it to 1 or lower and then just play Boa Hancock. Not only do you get to remove something, you get to make sure another thing doesn't get to attack. Boa Hancock is so sick, man. So good. 6,000, I mean 6 cost 8,000 power as well. Great beater on your opponent's side of the field. Yeah. Whew. I love this card. So good. The alternate art, not my favorite Boa alternate art, by the way. I think like the OP-01 ones, and actually the Boa Hancock SP is my favorite alternate art. I would say consider it as an alternate art, but yeah, this is decent. Like, it's cute. Let's not talk about the manga, okay? Good luck to people trying to pull the manga. I wish you all the best. We got Boa Marigold, 5 cost 6,000 power, counter 1,000, part of the Kuja Pirates, and on play, if you have 2 or more Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates type characters on your field, place up to 1 character with a cost of 2 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. So, not the greatest. I think Boa does that even better. because it's not conditional of you having a certain amount of Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates cards on the side of the field. But if ever there's more, like a dedicated Kuja Pirate support, then this would be kind of useful. Except pure blue don't really have access to cost reducing cards, so your targets are limited. Let's look at Podcast D8, yo. 5 cost 6,000 power, counter 1,000 with blocker. And on play, draw 2 and place 2 cards from your hand at the top or bottom of your deck in any order. This is pretty interesting. Okay, I thought it was draw 2, discard 2, but it's actually draw 2 and put 2 at the top or bottom. So I think there's, great kind of almost setup. Like anything that's I guess it's good for the blue yellow ace. Yeah, blue yellow ace. Okay, I get it now. It's a blocker, and also you get to kind of filter out the top 2, so you can put the cards in your hand, and then you use ace ability to put it into the live, and then you play on the 2 cost ace, and then you sacrifice it, play the 5 cost whatever you put on top of your deck to put into your life. Now it's on the field. Your leader gets 2k power. Yeah, I can see this being such a great card. Ace lovers out there, this is for you. Love it. Mega Right, 3 cost 2,000 power, a blocker, on play, draw 1 card. This card is great. If there's going to be an Amazon Lily type card, Kuja Pirates, yeah, this card is very, very good. Next, we got Snake Dance. Counter, up to one of your leader or character gains plus 4,000 power during this turn, then return up to one of your characters to the owner's hand. Then the trigger ability is you may return one of your characters to the owner's hand, return up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less to the owner's hand. So this could trigger Boa's ability, I believe, and at the same time, you can bounce something else. You can bounce a Searcher. There's a lot of ways you can use Snake Dance to its fullest. 2 cost 4k counters are used sparingly. So, and the trigger ability is pretty decent as well. Slave Arrow, a 1 cost counter. You may return one of your characters with a cost of 2 or more to the owner's hand. Up to one of your leader or character gains plus 4k during the battle. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So you return something, downside is 2 or more. So maybe a 2k counter that you have used the ability on, and then you use Slave Arrow, bring that 2k counter back. Yeah, I can see this being played in that situation. Other than that, you gotta hedge your bets a little bit. Trigger ability is draw 2 and place 2 cards from your hand at the bottom of your deck in any order. So yeah, I like the trigger ability. I think this card's great. But you may need to see what you're using it with, what characters you want to return back to your hand. I'm sure the blue players will make it work, but it's a decent enough card to see play for sure. And I think this is there is a stage card, but here we go. We got Perfume Femur. It's a 2 cost event card. Main, select up to one of your 7 Warlords of the Sea type leader or character cards, and the cards gain plus 2,000 power during this turn. Then if the selected card attacks, your opponent cannot activate blocker. Oh man, Diable Jambe in blue. Let's freaking go, man. So yeah, you use Perfume Femur, and then you combine it with what we talked about before, which is that little snake Salome. Just kind of buff up your Boa Hancock to an insane amount, and then you use Perfume Femur, and then you just swing in for like insane amount, and your opponent can block it. Potential. I think there is a potential to be there. Just 2 copies. I think that's all you need. You're drawing quite a lot of your leader anyway, so you potentially could see this more often than not. And the trigger ability is draw 1 card, so I guess if you want to activate it, sure, but better save it for the effect. I think it's great. I think you can catch a lot of people off guard if they're not active, because they will let their guard down when they see blue. It's like, okay, I don't need to, I can be at 0 life, and then you drop this Perfume Femur, smack them in the face. Hell yeah. That's great. Now you gotta be careful when you're playing against blue in case they attack this. Anyway, the last card is a stage card. It's Isle of Woman. So 1 cost, activate main, you may trash 1 card from your hand and rest the stage. If your leader has Kuja Pirates, return one of your Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates type characters to the owner's hand. So yeah, this makes me believe that there will be more Kuja Pirate support in the future. I think if there are some in this set already, there will be more in the coming set. So eventually there could be an Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates type deck or archetype. I feel like it's gonna go down the wayside of a Baroque Works. It's like not good enough to make it work, but then there will be some cards that will come out later on that will be like, hey, the deck works now. So that's how I feel. Give it a couple of sets. I think then we'll see the true potential of the Kuja Pirates archetype in the One Piece card game. Anyway, we are done with the first 3 colors. I'm going to leave it at manga. So we have talked about the red, we've talked about the green, we've talked about the blue. So in the next video, we're going to talk about the purple, black, and yellow. So thank you. If you made it this far, it's a 45-minute video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Let's go.